All right, today we're jumping into one of the most talked about, most controversial books on strategy ever written, Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power.
You know, to really get this book, you have to start right here, with its core philosophy. This quote from Machiavelli sums it up perfectly. Greene's whole argument is that the world isn't some fairy tale. It's a strategic arena. And pretending it's not, well, that's a really dangerous mistake.
So the book's main idea is simple, but honestly it's pretty unsettling. Power dynamics are just an unavoidable part of life, of human interaction. It's a game we're all in, whether we want to be or not. And let's be real, that feeling of being powerless is miserable. Greene says everyone, deep down, wants more power, not less.
But here's the catch. In our modern world, you can't just go around acting like you're hungry for power. It's frowned upon, right? We're all supposed to seem fair and open and democratic. So the game has to be played indirectly. This book is basically a manual for that subtle art, how to be friendly on the surface but incredibly cunning underneath.
Greene says there are really two types of players. First, you've got the overt player. This person uses brute force, they're obvious, and in today's world they almost always crash and burn. But then you have the subtle courtier. They're a master of charm, of strategy, they're thinking several moves ahead, and they are the ones who actually win the game. And this all leads to what Greene calls the courtier's dilemma. You have to project this image of being a model of fairness and elegance, while behind the scenes you're outmaneuvering your rivals. It's like a constant performance, a kind of polite warfare that's fought with a velvet glove.
Okay, so how do you get good at this game? Well, the first set of laws aren't about being aggressive. Nope. They're about social intelligence, about observing people, and about mastering how you appear to others. And it all starts with one of the most critical rules in the entire book.
The very first law. This one really sets the stage for the whole philosophy. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. The logic here is that if you show off your talents too much, you don't actually inspire admiration, you inspire fear and insecurity. By making your bosses seem more brilliant than they are, you're actually positioning yourself to gain real power down the road.
If you want a perfect and brutal example of this, just look at Nicolas Fouquet. He was the finance minister for King Louis XIV, and he threw this incredibly lavish party for the king, to show his loyalty. But the party was so amazing that the king felt completely upstaged. So what happened? The very next day, Louis had Fouquet arrested. He spent the rest of his life in prison. A totally fatal miscalculation.
Now, let's look at another law that really gets at this theme of subtle control. Law 12.
The thinking here is pretty wild. A single, perfectly timed act of honesty can actually hide dozens of dishonest ones. One sincere, open-hearted gesture can drop the guard of even the most suspicious person. And that creates an opening for you to push your own agenda.
I mean, check this out. The legendary con man Victor Lustig once borrowed $50,000 from Al Capone. He just held on to it, kept it safe, and then came back and returned every penny, saying his deal fell through. Capone was so blown away by this apparent honesty that he just gave Lustig $5,000 as a reward, which of course was the exact amount Lustig was trying to con him out of from the very beginning. Brilliant.
But hey, it's not all about subtle charm and clever tricks. This book is famous, or maybe infamous, for its absolutely ruthless, amoral advice. This is where it gets its dangerous reputation. And there's no better example of this than one of the most notorious laws in the book.
Crush your enemy totally. Yeah. The book's argument is that stopping halfway is a massive mistake. A wounded enemy will only recover and come back for revenge. So if you're going to strike, Greene says, you have to crush them completely, not just physically, but in spirit too.
But here's where the book gets really complex, because it's full of what seem like contradictions. For every ruthless law like that, there's another one, like Law 22.
Use the surrender tactic. Now, when you're weaker, fighting a losing battle just for honor is stupid. Greene says to surrender instead. Why? Because surrender buys you time. Time to recover, time to wait for your opponent's power to weaken, and time to plot your comeback. You're not actually admitting defeat, you're turning a moment of weakness into a weapon. So ultimately, the book argues that true power isn't about just using one law here and another there. It's about developing a whole mindset, a way of thinking based on long-term strategy, emotional control, and being incredibly adaptable. And this mindset, it's really built on a few core principles. First, plan all the way to the end, so you're never caught off guard. Next, you have to master the art of timing, knowing exactly when to lay low and when to strike hard. And finally, you embrace the last, ultimate law. Assume formlessness. Be like water. Fluid, adaptable, unpredictable. Never, ever bet on stability, because in the game of power, everything changes. So that brings us to the book's final, provocative question. Whether you look at these laws as a how-to guide or as a warning about the darker side of human nature, they force you to confront a really tough reality. In a world full of unspoken rules, what's actually more dangerous? Playing the game or just pretending it doesn't exist?
Have you ever thought about, like, having a secret rule book for life, for dealing with people, getting ahead, even if the rules aren't exactly, what we'd call nice? That whole human drive for influence, it's powerful stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, feeling powerless, it's tough. We all crave some control. But yeah, like the source material says, being too obvious about wanting power these days doesn't really fly. You've got to be subtle. Like it says, congenial yet cunning, democratic yet devious. It's a balancing act.
That's exactly what we're diving into today on the Deep Dive. We're taking your sources, digging through them, and pulling out key ideas.
Yep.
And today, it's all about excerpts from Robert Greene's very well-known book, The 48 Laws of Power. It's basically history and philosophy mashed into these principles for gaining and keeping power.
And just to be clear, our goal here isn't to say, go do all this stuff. Not at all.
Yeah.
It's more about understanding the mechanics of power that Greene lays out. We'll look at some frankly surprising laws, the stories behind them, and just see what it tells us about how people operate. Consider this your shortcut to getting up to speed on a book that, let's face it, gets people talking.
Okay, let's jump in. A lot of these laws, it seems, really emphasize not being direct.
Yeah.
Like overt power plays, often backfire.
Yeah, exactly. It's about indirection, subtlety. Thinking moves ahead, not just reacting.
Like chess.
Precisely. Which brings us neatly to Law 8. Make other people come to you, use bait if necessary.
Okay.
The idea is simple. When you force them to react, you're the one in control. Lure them in, make them ditch their own plan.
So you're setting the stage.
You are. You hold the cards. Think about Haile Selassie back when he was Lushtafari. He had this warlord, Balcha, defying him. Balcha marches on the capital, Addis Ababa, with 10,000 soldiers, big threat.
Right. Direct confrontation seems obvious.
But Selassie didn't do that. He invited Balcha to a banquet, acted charming, maybe even a little intimidated, let Balcha think he was winning. Balcha even boasted he'd attack if he wasn't back with his army soon.
Uh-oh. Sounds like a trap.
Total trap. While Balcha was feasting, Selassie's people disarmed Balcha's troops, surrounded the camp. Checkmate.
Wow.
Balcha had no choice but to surrender, ended up in a monastery, complete power flip, all because Selassie baited him, played on his pride.
That's incredible. And it's not just ancient history, is it?
Not at all. Look at the Japanese Marshal Togo Hihachiro in 1905 against the Russian Navy.
Okay.
He fed them bad intel, baited them into this insane 6,000-mile detour around the Cape of Good Hope.
6,000 miles.
Yep. They show up exhausted, stressed out, seasick probably, while the Japanese are fresh, rested, waiting.
Game over before it starts.
Pretty much. The psychological edge was huge. And then there's Filippo Brunelleschi, the architect.
With the Florence Cathedral dome.
That's the one. He had a rival, Ghiberti. Instead of fighting him directly for the job, Brunelleschi just pretended to be sick.
Really?
Yeah. Creates a vacuum, the project stalls, the guild gets desperate, fires Ghiberti, and begs Brunelleschi to come back. He made them come to him.
So think about this for yourself. How does waiting, setting that trap instead of always chasing, how does that shift the power in, say, a negotiation or any challenge, really?
It totally shifts the center of gravity. You conserve your energy, make them play on your turf, which leads right into Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument.
Okay, that sounds important.
It is. The book argues that winning an argument, it's often a hollow victory. You might be right, logically, but the resentment you create, that sticks around way longer than their opinion changing.
So proving your point without saying a word is stronger.
Much stronger. There's a story of a vizier sentenced to death by the Sultan, going to be thrown to the hunting dogs.
Ouch.
He asks for 10 days reprieve, gets it. And what does he do? He spends those 10 days feeding the dogs, caring for them.
Ah, I see where this is going.
Exactly. They throw him in the pen, and the dogs just lick his feet. Total demonstration of loyalty, innocence, whatever. He won his freedom without arguing at all. Pure action.
That's powerful. And Michelangelo, too, right? With the David statue.
Yeah. That block of marble everyone thought was ruined. He didn't waste time arguing he could make something of it.
What did he do?
He just started working on it. Showed the mayor, Soderini, a drawing, a small model. Let the action, the potential speak for itself. Convinced him through demonstration.
Makes sense. But what about when arguments do happen?
Well, the book gives a negative example. Roman consul Mucianus got into this endless debate with an engineer about the right size mast for a siege engine.
Okay.
The engineer wouldn't let it go, kept arguing. Mucianus got so furious, so lost in the argument itself, he had the engineer flogged to death.
Good grief.
Yeah. Terrible outcome. Shows how argument can just derail everything. Cloud judgment.
So thinking about this law, how often do you find yourself trying to persuade with just words versus actually showing the results? Which one really changes minds?
It's a good question to ask yourself. Now, sticking with subtle influence, Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim.
Okay, victim sounds a bit intense.
It does. And remember, we're just exploring Green's ideas here. The principle is that one well-timed, seemingly sincere act of honesty or generosity, it can cover up a lot of other less honest actions.
How so?
It lowers people's guards, especially suspicious people.
Okay.
Creates an opening.
Like the con artist, Count Lustig.
Yeah.
The one who dealt with Al Capone.
Exactly. Capone, probably one of the most paranoid guys ever. Lustig gets $5,000 from him in some fake deal.
Okay.
Then Lustig goes back, gives all the money back, says, sorry, the deal fell through, can't keep your money. Capone, who's surrounded by liars and cheats, he's stunned by this apparent honesty.
So it worked.
Totally. Capone trusts him instantly, even gives Lustig an extra $1,000 for being honest. It was pure manipulation through selective sincerity.
Wow. And there was another example, the Medico Universal Bori.
Right. In Amsterdam, this guy sets himself up as this amazing healer and alchemist, never charges for advice, gives money away, looks like a total saint.
But he wasn't.
Not even close. While everyone's distracted by his generosity, thinking he's found the philosopher's stone or something, he's quietly stealing the money and jewels people entrust to him. The generosity was a smokescreen.
And Lustig again. Selling the Eiffel Tower. Seriously?
Twice, apparently. He posed as a government official, had fake documents, convincing stories about why it had to be dismantled and sold for scrap.
How did anyone fall for that?
It was the sheer audacity, the confidence, the seeming realism. It disarmed people. They almost wanted to believe it. The selective honesty wasn't just returning money. It was the performance of legitimacy.
Okay, so thinking about everyday life, how do those small, unexpected nice gestures affect how you see someone? And how could that be used, well, strategically?
It definitely makes you think about perception, which actually leads us nicely into the next set of laws, focusing on appearance, managing your image.
Right, because it's not just what you do, but how you're seen doing it. Starting with maybe the most famous one, Law 1, never outshine the master.
That's the one. It's fundamental. Always make the people above you feel comfortably superior. You might be brilliant. You might want to impress them.
But don't show off too much.
Exactly. Don't display your talents so much that they feel threatened or insecure. Make them look good, even if it means dimming your own light a bit sometimes.
There's that story about Louis XIV's finance minister, Fouquet.
Oh yeah, the classic cautionary tale. Fouquet throws this unbelievably lavish party at his chateau, more magnificent than anything the king himself had.
Bad move.
Terrible move. Louis XIV saw it, saw his own court dazzled by his minister's wealth, and interpreted it as a direct challenge. Fouquet was arrested, locked up for life, outshone the master, paid the ultimate price.
Ouch. So who got it right?
Galileo, brilliant scientist, right? Discovers the moons of Jupiter.
Huge discovery.
Instead of just announcing it, he dedicates the discovery to the Medici family, the powerful rulers of Florence. He even names the moons the Medicean stars, linking their family to the cosmos. Very. It made the Medicis look brilliant, associated their name with his discovery, and kept him in their good graces. He flattered the master.
And Ivan the Terrible, as a young ruler.
Yeah, fascinating example. Early on, he apparently played dumb sometimes. pretended to make mistakes, asked his advisors, the boyars, for help.
Make them feel important.
Made them feel superior, like they were controlling him. Meanwhile, he's learning, observing, plotting, until he's ready to seize absolute power. He used feigned weakness strategically.
So that's a tough one in practice, isn't it? How do you show you're competent, valuable, without making your boss feel threatened? It's a real tightrope.
It absolutely is. Constant calibration. Now, building on image, Law 25, recreate yourself.
Okay, what's that about?
It's about not just accepting the identity or role society gives you, it's about actively shaping your own image, forging a persona that grabs attention that you control. Don't be predictable.
Like Julius Caesar.
Perfect example. Caesar was all about image. The purple robes, the obsession with his appearance, using laurel wreaths to hide, going bald. Apparently. And always adding drama, surprise to his public appearances. He crafted himself into this larger-than-life figure. He wasn't just a general, he was Caesar.
And the writer, George Sand.
Aurore Dupin du Devant, yeah. Took a male name, George Sand, created this whole persona, dressed like a man sometimes, smoked cigars, had public affairs.
Challenged all the norms.
Completely. She built this dramatic, theatrical character she could change and adapt, refused to be boxed in. She offered her own identity.
And Velázquez the painter, how did he do it?
In his painting, Las Meninas, it's amazing. He paints himself in the scene, brush in hand, looking out at us. And the king and queen. They're just reflected dimly in a mirror in the background.
So he's the focus, not the royals.
Subtly, yes. He's asserting his importance, his control over the image, his place in that world. He's defining himself through his art.
Makes you think. In what ways do you let society or your job or whatever define who you are? And what would happen if you consciously started creating your image? Could it be empowering?
It's a deep question. Now, let's look at Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless.
Ah, the sprezzatura idea. Conceal the effort.
Exactly. Hide the practice, the sweat, the clever tricks. Make it look natural, easy, like you could do even more without breaking a sweat. Revealing the struggle can actually diminish the magic.
Like that Japanese tea master, Sendo Rikyu.
Beautiful example. Emperor's coming for tea, path is covered in snow. Rikyu carefully cleans just the stepping stones, leaving perfect circles on the path.
Looks simple, elegant.
But imagine the painstaking work. It looked effortless, like a perfect natural gesture. The hidden effort made it seem more profound.
In Houdini, his escapes seemed impossible.
Because he hid the weeks of practice. The physical conditioning, the clever gadgets, the research, like those French combination handcuffs.
What did he do?
While pretending to struggle, he'd subtly feel out and change the combination. Then pop, they're open. Looks like magic, but it's hidden work and, well, a bit of misdirection.
So why do we admire effortlessness so much? Why is that more impressive sometimes than seeing all the hard work?
Maybe it implies innate genius, natural talent. It has a certain mystique. But there's a flip side. Law 46, never appear too perfect.
Wait, so don't seem effortless and don't seem perfect?
Kind of. It's about balance. Appearing too perfect, having no visible flaws, that breeds envy. And envy, Green says, creates silent enemies. It's smarter to show occasional harmless defects, makes you seem human.
Relatable.
Exactly. Cosimo de' Medici, head of the powerful Florentine family, immensely wealthy, influential.
But he didn't flaunt it.
No. He kept a low profile, acted modestly, deferred to others in public. He knew appearing too perfect, too powerful, would just invite opposition and envy. He managed perceptions carefully.
And the negative example.
Yeah.
The playwright Joe Orton.
Yeah, tragic story. Orton and his partner, Kenneth Halliwell. Orton's career takes off seemingly without effort. He's witty, successful, celebrated.
And Halliwell.
Halliwell struggles, feels overshadowed, becomes consumed by envy. Orton's apparent perfection just fuels Halliwell's resentment. It ends very badly. Shows the danger of making others feel inadequate through your own seeming perfection.
So maybe admitting to small flaws, being a bit vulnerable, it makes you less of a target, more approachable, protects you from that hidden resentment.
It certainly can. It diffuses envy. Okay, last section. This is about strategic maneuvering, staying cool under pressure, and understanding what makes people tick.
Sounds intense. Where do we start?
Law 20. Do not commit to anyone, except yourself, that is.
Don't take sides.
Pretty much. Stay independent. If you don't commit, people have to court you. You can play different sides against each other. Maintain your freedom of action.
Like Alcibiades, the ancient Greek guy.
The ultimate example. He switched sides constantly. Athens, Sparta, Persia, made promises to everyone, committed to no one fully.
Kept everyone needing him.
Exactly. No one could control him, but everyone wanted his influence. He held the power by refusing to fully commit.
Any modern examples?
The book points to Henry Kissinger during the '68 election. He was apparently feeding info to both campaigns, Nixon and Humphrey.
Seriously, hedging his bets.
Big time. Got promises of a top job from both. Whoever won, Kissinger was in. Calculated non-commitment.
Wow. And Isabella d'Este. And Renaissance Italy.
Right. Ruler of Mantua, surrounded by powerful, aggressive neighbors like France and the Borgias, she sent gifts, wrote flattering letters to everyone.
But kept them at arm's length.
Precisely. Never let foreign soldiers into her city. Played the diplomatic game, kept her options open, maintained Mantua's independence by never fully committing to any single power.
So, thinking about this, when could refusing to commit, refusing to pick a side, actually make you more valuable, more influential, turns you from a pawn into a player?
It forces others to compete for your support. Okay, next up, Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew.
Thumbscrew. Sounds painful.
Metaphorically, it means find everyone's weakness. Their insecurity, their uncontrollable emotion, their secret desire or fear. Find that vulnerability.
Use it.
That's what the law suggests. Again, we're exploring the text. Look at Joseph Duveen, the art dealer.
What did he do?
He studied his rich clients intensely, like Arabella Huntington. He figured out she was deeply insecure about her humble background.
So
he didn't just sell her paintings, he sold her status. Convinced her that owning priceless art would secure her place in high society. He targeted her core insecurity.
That's quite manipulative.
It is. Or Cardinal Richelieu in France. He served the Queen Mother, Marie de Medicis. Her favorite advisor was this guy, Concini.
Okay.
Richelieu played up to Concini's vanity, treated him like royalty, gained his trust. But then, the young King Louis XIII had Concini killed.
And Richelieu.
Immediately ditched the Queen Mother, sided with the king, and played on Louis's ambition to rule alone. He shifted allegiance by exploiting the key player's weaknesses and desires.
And Catherine de Medici with her flying squadron.
Ah, yes. Her maids of honor, apparently very beautiful and charming, she used them strategically. Sent them to seduce powerful men, political rivals, find out secrets, sow discord, weaken them through their personal desires and indiscretions. Emotional leverage.
So understanding what really drives someone or what they're afraid of, how much power does that give you in interacting with them? For good or bad?
It's potentially immense leverage. Now, let's talk emotions directly. Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish.
Meaning?
Meaning getting angry or emotional yourself. Strategically bad, counterproductive. But if you can make your enemies angry, make them lose their cool while you stay calm.
You gain the advantage.
Big time. Think of Talleyrand and Napoleon. Napoleon completely lost it, insulted Talleyrand, viciously called him shit in a silk stocking.
Oof. And Talleyrand?
Stayed perfectly calm. Later just remarked on the emperor's bad manners. By staying detached, he made Napoleon look foolish, uncontrolled. Talleyrand won the exchange by not reacting emotionally.
And Alexander the Great with the city of Tyre.
Yeah, he provoked them deliberately, killed their messengers, knew it would outrage them.
Made them react emotionally.
Exactly. They got angry, divided their forces rashly. Alexander, staying calm and strategic, conquered them more easily because they were blinded by rage.
So what's the real benefit of staying cool when everyone around you is losing it? And how can you use that calmness?
It gives you clarity, control. You see things they don't. Okay, final law for today, Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others.
Sounds less aggressive.
It is, in a way. It argues that forcing people, coercion, it just builds resentment. It'll backfire eventually.
So what's the alternative?
Seduction. Not necessarily romantic, but drawing people in, making them want to go in your direction, appeal to their psychology, their self-interest, their emotions.
Like Cyrus the Great and the Persians.
Right. He didn't just order them to revolt against the Medes. First, he made them do some hard labor, clearing a field. Then he threw them a huge feast.
Showed them the contrast.
Exactly. This is life under the Medes, hard work. This is life with me. Feasting reward. He appealed to their desires, made them want to follow him, created loyalty through attraction, not force.
And the Chinese strategist, Zhuge Liang.
Brilliant example. Campaigning against King Menguo. Instead of just crushing him and conquering cities, Zhuge Liang focused on winning hearts.
Oh.
He repeatedly captured and released Menguo, treated him well, persuaded him, eventually pacified the whole region through respect and understanding, not just military might. Lasting peace came from winning them over psychologically.
So how do you go beyond just telling people what to do and actually inspire them, make them want to act in a way that ultimately helps you too? It's about connecting with their motivations.
Exactly, tapping into what they already desire or believe.
Okay. We've covered a lot. Indirect influence, managing appearances, strategic thinking, emotional control, pulled from the 48 laws of power.
Yeah.
What really strikes me is the deep dive into, well, human psychology. It feels like a guide to human nature itself, warts and all.
I think that's fair. And the aim of this deep dive really is to give you a kind of framework, a way to notice these power dynamics playing out around you. Recognizing those subtle currents of influence, maybe it helps you protect yourself, maybe it gives you an edge, maybe it just gives you that aha moment about why things happen the way they do.
It's definitely thought-provoking. We explored this world where subtlety, cleverness, even outright deception are presented as tools for power. I mean, the book's premise itself says today you have to be congenial yet cunning, democratic yet devious, because being openly power-hungry is frowned upon. It even suggests that people who make a big show of their morals might be the most manipulative of all, just doing it indirectly.
A challenging idea.
It is. So, the final thought for you, listening. What does it mean to operate in a world where appearances can be so deceptive, where strategic intentions might be hidden behind smiles? And how does understanding these hidden games potentially change how you approach your own goals, your own interactions?